On Easter Sunday, Antonio takes his first communion and waits for God to answer the questions that haunt him. However, only silence rings inside his head. Summary: 20. Antonio continues to attend confession and communion, but the answers still do not come. Antonio continues to attend confession and communion, but the answers still do not come. The boys from town begin to have gang fights with the boys from Los Jarros. Antonio, who lives between the town and Los Jarros, is caught in the middle. On the last day of school, Antonio calls to Vitamin Kid to race him across the bridge. However, the Vitamin Kid is walking with a girl named Ida, and he expresses no interest in racing. There is a rumor that Tenorio's sick daughter is near death. Tellez, a rancher from Agua Negra, comes to Ultima to ask help in lifting a curse on his home. Pots and pans fly across the room in his home. Stones rain from the sky. A priest has blessed their house, but the blessing has not been effective. Antonio wonders how an almighty God has again failed to dispel evil. Ultima states that many years ago, Tellez's grandfather hanged 3 Comanches for raiding his flocks. The curse has awakened the ghosts to force them to do wrong. Gabriel accepts responsibility for interfering with destiny if Ultima helps his friends. Advertisement. Gabriel and Antonio accompany Ultima to Agua Negra. Antonio realizes that Maria teaches him that every man is tied to the earth in his need for nourishment and security, but Ultima and Gabriel teach him that the land serves a more spiritual function. Immortality comes from freedom, and freedom is nourished by the land, air, and sea. When they arrive, Ultima instructs Antonio and Gabriel to build a platform in the yard and to cover it with juniper branches. Ultima asks Gabriel to place 3 bundles on the platform and set it all on fire. Gabriel informs Antonio that his father once told him that the Comanche burned their dead on platforms like this. When the platform is burned completely, Ultima declares that the curse is lifted. Tellez mentions that a month earlier he challenged Tenorio for speaking badly of Ultima. Soon thereafter, the evil things began to occur in his home. Advertisement. That night, Antonio dreams that his brothers call for him to give them rest from their restless sea blood. Antonio replies that he cannot help them. He baits his hook with their livers and begins to fish in the river. They continue to cry out, so he unbaits his hook and throws their livers into the river of the carp. Finally, they rest. Summary: 21. Antonio and Cico decide the time is right to take Florence to see the golden carp. Antonio confesses his doubts about the God of the Catholic Church. Cico explains that there are many gods, and that Antonio's God is jealous. Antonio will have to choose between the carp and the God of the Church. They find their friends waiting excitedly at them next to the shores of the Blue Lake in the section where swimming is forbidden. Horse shouts that Florence hasn't emerged from the water. Just as Cico prepares to dive for Florence, Florence's body floats to the surface. Antonio prays the act of contrition over Florence's body but despairs that it is useless because Florence never believed. When the lifeguards finally arrive, Horse and the others lie and say they tried to persuade Florence not to swim in the forbidden area. Sickened, Antonio runs along the river. As Antonio sleeps, Lupito, Narciso, and Florence appear in Antonio's dreams. They say that Antonio prayed the act of final contrition for them in his innocence even though they were outcasts. When Antonio asks why he must see so much violence, a voice tells him that creation lies in violence. Antonio watches a priest defile an altar with pigeon's blood and Cico defile the river with the golden carp's blood. He has a vision of Tenorio murdering Ultima by killing her night spirit. Antonio cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me? Narciso, Florence.